It is the bombshell ban that has left trans teenagers in Queensland facing an uncertain future. Now, more than 100 experts are making their voices heard, calling on the state to backtrack on its decision to pause puberty blockers for trans kids.
All of us just want happy, healthy teenagers.
It has really devastated me.
Left in limbo, 15-year-old V Redford had been about to transition using hormone replacement therapy when Queensland dropped a banned bombshell.
Especially after 4 very long and tedious years, and to be so close and then them to do this, it was soul-crushing.
More than 100 heavyweights, from medical experts to human rights lawyers and even an Australian of the Year, today advocating for kids like V in an open letter, demanding the state government reverse its decision to halt puberty blockers and hormone treatments for new patients under the age of 18 with gender dysphoria.
All it does is stop puberty in its tracks. This way, the young people are able to talk to the people at the gender clinic where they would like their life to lead and what they would like to look like at the end.
The ban, which sparked backlash, made in the wake of allegations that children in Cairns have been given gender-affirming hormones without the correct medical support and parental consent.
We are doing a review to make sure that the health and safety of all children is front and foremost.
The state government also pointing to another factor behind its ban, which won't be lifted until at least next year.
There is a widely contested international evidence for the appropriateness and safety of hormone therapy being delivered to children.
In the US, President Trump has ordered all funding for transgender care be cut. And last year, Britain banned puberty blockers for transgender kids indefinitely.
This is the advice from expert clinicians. It is a scandal that medicine was given to vulnerable young children without the proof that it is safe or effective.
Last month, the federal government launched a national inquiry into the care of transgender children in Australia, including the use of hormone blockers. But for nearly 500 Queensland kids like V waiting for treatment, it could be too little too late.
It is so devastating because they have such a small window, and if they miss it, they'll have to go through the wrong puberty. If it's too late, you're stuffed.
Psychiatrist and Professor Ian Hickie is one of the health experts who signed the open letter to the Queensland government. Professor Hickie, why did you add your name to it?
Because I don't want to see any child in Australia, particularly in Queensland, miss out on comprehensive medical and psychological assessment and appropriate care for largely political reasons rather than medical or scientific reasons.
Professor Hickie, I understand that this is such a fraught issue, but in this case, a 12-year-old was allegedly given puberty blockers without parental consent. I mean, that's a thought that must terrify a lot of parents. Can you understand some of that fear?
Absolutely. So the appropriate response when any clinic for any medical condition appears not to be following appropriate guidelines is to look at what's happening in that clinic. We have mistakes or things go wrong in paediatrics, in cancer care, in hospitals all the time. We don't shut down the treatment because someone hasn't provided it appropriately. We look into what's going on in that clinic.
Puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapies, are they completely safe?
No medical treatment is completely safe. The idea that everything is completely safe is a myth. There's a trade-off here between the relative benefits and the changes. And the benefits versus risk are also complex. The mental health, the physical health, the social implications, the educational and cognitive development. There's a whole range of factors that are influenced by puberty itself or by delaying puberty. Of course, the identity and social development by potentially changing genders or changing how you present yourself are also really important. So this is a complicated area. It's why the federal minister has said, look, guidelines need to be clear. We need to get our own National Health and Medical Research Council to overview and update those guidelines so everyone, including families, including all those concerned, can know what we all agree now is the best evidence while we go on collecting future evidence about the longer-term mental health, cognitive and physical health outcomes.
What do you make of the more cautious approach that countries like Finland, Norway, Sweden, France have taken in this area?
So I'm glad you said cautious, because this is often misreported as banning, as if they've all banned. In the UK, the NHS-supported services are now saying only within a clinical trial, although they haven't worked out what that trial is. The Scandinavian countries are saying they're looking at more restrictive practice. So what nobody wants is very open prescribing or very reckless prescribing, particularly in poorly organised services or services that do not have the comprehensive care that we're just discussing. So what those governments are doing, I think appropriately, is saying this needs to be really well monitored, national agreements, and then clinics need to perform to those standards. Of course, that means that governments provide those actual services. Very sadly, for example, in the UK at the moment, lots of kids are being sent to child mental health services that actually have no expertise in that area. And we don't want the outbreak in Australia of a whole lot of private clinics that don't have comprehensive services. So, you know, this is an area in which we need to be careful that governments support the best quality services. And that's largely happening through our children's hospitals at the moment, and is largely happening in very appropriately governed and transparent clinics.
Professor Ian Hickie, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.